Hi, I'm Linda Deir, the author of Guided. Her spirit guide angels were her best friends and life coaches. Guided is my true life story and winner of the 2017 International Body, Mind, Spirit Book Award. Since before I was 2 years old, I have seen, communicated with, and even photographed my spirit guides and angels. In Guided, I use my own life as a template to teach what I have learned from these loving, intelligent spirits. Most importantly, I show you how to make the connection to your own spirit guides and angels, so you can live a guided life, a life free of fear and doubt, the life you intended to live before you got here. This week, with the help of my spirit guides, we will explain how you ask. You ask even when you don't know you're asking. Asking is a natural response to getting answers when you need them. So why is it such a natural thing to do? And who are you asking? Can you remember the first time you asked and got an answer? Most likely, you asked with your thoughts and not your words. You were alone when it happened, but you didn't really feel alone. Since it's not something people talk about or admit to doing, you probably never talked about this before. Strangely, it feels like something you shouldn't do. Where did that feeling come from? Since it's so natural and you do it all of the time, like it was built in before you could even think about it, evidently this is important to understand. So let's get started. To ask is to experience what it's like to be connected, almost by accident. You ask before you even consciously decided to ask. There's a real comfort in asking, but who are you asking? It's such a natural response to get answers when you need them, and as you get older, you start to reason that it's you who you are talking to and you who comes up with all the answers. It feels like self-talk. That's because the connection to your guides and the universe is so natural, it feels like it's you. Like you are not separate. And that is true. That's what it feels like when you are one with everything, when you are connected. It's what it felt like before you got here and where you go back to when you leave. That's why it feels so natural and why it actually feels like you. But there's a lot more going on than just you. So who is it exactly that you are talking to when asking? Rather than giving it a chance to show you what was really happening the moment it was happening, you interrupted it by writing it off as, what if this is some kind of quirk? As time went by, you suspect that this quirk is possibly something only happening to you. Now you wonder, could whatever this is that started out as a mere quirk be some kind of mental illness? Whatever it is, it's not the norm. So how do you explain this? You don't. Did you notice how the what if got you away from what was really happening? That's because the what if already answered the questions. The answers are the predictable ones, and best of all, they come fast. By the way, These are not answers. They are expected outcomes disguised as answers coming from you. This can only happen when you energetically insist that things are the way you want or expect them to be. It's void of the truth. Fast forward 20 years, and this choice of behavior could become a diagnosis for mental illness. It's not how you ask, but the intention with which you ask. The best questions show up before you could think them up. Life-changing events can come from these moments. It's in these moments that you are connected, and hence no judgment or anything to defend. The pressure is released and you are instantly present. That's all there is to being connected. So what goes wrong when you ask? You are not open to the truth. What goes right when you ask? When you catch yourself asking or have a question without expecting it, the answer comes through almost as fast as the question. This is what it feels like to be connected. It's happening all the time. So pay attention to this subtle energy that is always sending you this time-sensitive guidance. Write these important questions and answers into your journal. They will become the stepping stones on your journey through a growing self-awareness. Now, just so you all know, if you want to comment or you want to ask questions, you can do that by clicking on the click for more on the video part of this Facebook Live, and it will allow you to interact with us. And just so you know, you can see us and we can see what you are typing into the stream. So, Ray, what kind of questions do you have for me on this?
Well, I have a lot of questions. That was quite interesting what you said, that the first time you asked, it wasn't with words, it was most likely with your thoughts. So going back to when you were a baby, not even 2 years old, you obviously at that age can't reason anything, and you asked for help. Now, did you do that out loud or did you do that mentally, and you got a response? What happened at that first time?
Okay, the first time that I asked, and this is why I know about this, I know this so well, is I was in a life-threatening situation, and I was 20 months old, and my mom almost killed me, and I really didn't expect to wake back up into this world, which is interesting all by itself. The fact that I was shocked to find myself back here was my worst nightmare. And when that happened, and I found myself here, and I woke up in a puddle of water, I assume that my mom doused me with it to revive me. She probably just threw a bucket of water on me and walked away. And I woke up, and I woke up back into this world. And I was totally terrified. I was so fearful. It was so much fear that I was actually pushed through it. I talked about that in the earlier video on fear. And the minute that happened, where all of a sudden I was released from it, I was connected then to my guides. And I asked out loud, I said, somebody help me. It was like a leap of faith. It was like so instinctual that I did that, so natural. Then, of course, that's when the connection was made, and they appeared all around me. That was the first time I was formally introduced to my spirit guides and angels. And when that happened, when that happens, and you know what you know, this is not reason, like Ray said, I was too young for reasoning anything. I knew what I knew when I experienced it. I remembered them. I connected with that. I felt the love. I felt the truth. I felt the calmness. I remembered where I came from. I remembered them. That was about as powerful as it gets. So that's what asking got me. And when I looked up at them, when I asked and I got that, they all just came around me. And I looked up at them, and I'm on the floor in that puddle of water, and I looked up at them. I saw what they saw when they looked at me. I didn't see, they were not panicked. They weren't freaking out about my situation at all. They just saw me, and they knew me in my wholeness, in my power. They knew me, okay? So that's what asking did for me, changed the direction of my life. I will never really know what that was because I don't have anything to compare it to. I just my life launched itself just right there. And from then on, fear was a thing of the past. And asking, it's almost like they couldn't shut me up. I couldn't stop asking enough. I did it all the time. So it became a natural response for me, but I was very careful about anybody noticing I was talking to my guides, to my friends, to those that had my back, that knew me and loved me for real. So that's what asking was all about for me.
You said a couple things I thought were interesting. That your instinct was to ask for help. That's one thing. And that you could only ask when the fear was released. Again, when you're not even 2 years old, you don't have a lot of reasoning to rely on, and your instinct was to ask for help.
Right.
But they could only respond once the fear was released.
Well, they could only reach me once the fear was released. So how does that apply to your life? The lives where you are right now in your life, not the little baby, right? Because you guys are well into your reasoning. So we have to acknowledge that and respect that. So what happens is it's like I said in the early part of this, it's not about asking, it's about with the intention with which you ask. So I asked with a pure heart. I asked with an open heart. I asked from something that was so authentic, okay? So let's say you ask for, let's say something goes wrong, and I don't know, let's say it's something superficial that you're asking for. I need to win the lottery because I need money, okay? I need to pay the rent or whatever. That's probably not a good deep basis for asking. That's probably it's not the energy that makes the connection to your guides. That's not the energy that they connect with. They connect with your authenticity. They connect with the real part of you. Another part is if you're asking and you're really like I was at the baby, freaked out, scared to death, terrified, until I could for 1 second, for 5 seconds, let that go and ask. That's where the hope came from in the little baby. It asked, and for some reason it knew to do that, okay? So you've got to ask with the right intention is what it comes down to. So if you can not come to the table with totally freaked out, frightened, upset, the bill collectors are calling, I don't know what it happens to be, whatever it is, my husband's going to leave me, my girlfriend's going to leave me, I don't know, whatever, and you're in that panic mode, don't ask then. You have the wrong energy. It won't work. It will not bring in the high energy that you have with you, your guides. It will not make that connection. You've got to, the connection's there. You have to release all that, and you have to open yourself up to trusting your universe, okay? And you have to ask, calmly ask. In fact, write down what you want to know. Use that as a metaphor to ask through, okay? I sat in the sandbox and talked all day long to these guides. That was my way of communicating, asking, building a communication bridge to them, which turned out to be amazing in my life. But you have to come to the table where you cool down and you let go of the stress and the pressure. So when you ask, you are more in alignment with your guides. You're not missing like this. You're more like this, okay?
So the individual asking for help, developed into an open type of communication between you and your guides.
That's what happened.
Which is I'm assuming it's easier for kids to do that, because kids have, imaginary friends they talk to all the time, and adults say, "Who are you talking to?"
Here's the difference. The good point. Here's the difference that Ray's talking about. The kids don't have reasoning coming in and dominating their thoughts. That's the difference between you as a little kid and you as an adult. So you have what we've allowed to do is we've allowed to let reasoning just take over our lives and be everything. It's like the difference between science and spirituality. Science has become everything. Well, that doesn't make sense. That's not balanced. We need both. We need there's the science, there's the reasoning. I mean, that's very beneficial. But when you overdose on it and you do it all the time and that's all there is in your world and that's all you can let in, then you're missing the other magic, the wonder, the part where you came into this world fully equipped with this wonder and without the reasoning, but the knowing you came in with. You have to interface and you've got to spin both plates. I often talk about living in two worlds. Well, that's what it's like. It's like learning. It's learning to coordinate yourself, balance yourself, and work in both worlds. The reasoning, the knowing.
Okay, let's go back a little bit. When you first asked for help, you must have felt that there was somebody there to ask.
Yeah. At 20 months old, now that goes back to the first time I did this, that I remember doing this. And at 20 months old, I for some reason, see, it goes back to I didn't have the reasoning. I only knew, okay? We all come in with this knowing. It's so natural, and we all came in with it. I'm not special here. I was just pushed to my limit. So I kind of like popped through something that was so unbearable. And when I did that, and I immediately released it, and I asked for help, and bang, they showed up all around me. And the way they communicated with me was through telepathic communication. They looked at me. They just looked at me. They weren't at all afraid for me. They knew there was more than just this life. They knew I was more powerful than that little baby on all fours, standing in a puddle of water, hands and knees, shocked by this world. Okay, they knew that. They looked at me and they were like, okay. I could feel what they were sending me, what they were seeing when they saw me. And when I saw what they saw when they saw me, it changed me forever. I knew who I was. I knew I was going to be okay. I remembered where I came from. I remembered them. It's just like everything just all of a sudden clicks and your life makes sense. And no matter what happens here, this all looks superficial after experiencing that. Okay? So asking is something I do. I don't necessarily walk around the house asking. I mean, hello, that would be a little bit odd, but I ask all the time, and I know that Ray asks all the time, just by the way that we wonder about something. Okay, it's not thinking. You're not thinking. You're wondering. So it's like the little kid will go off and wonder about things. It's going back to that energy that you knew how to do, you came in equipped with, that you need to reignite, you need to bring it back to life. You need to let it breathe back into you, all right? And let it help you. That's where it comes from. It comes from it's like not expecting anything, but then when you don't expect it, there it is.
Okay, I'm fascinated by this. Who are you talking to? Okay? Now, are you talking to yourself? I mean, there was a time when if you were walking down the street and somebody was walking towards you and they were carrying on a conversation, you would wonder, who are they talking to? I mean, nowadays, if somebody's doing that, they have a Bluetooth device in their head, okay? And they're probably talking to their wife or something, okay?
Yeah.
But before Bluetooth, if people saw other people talking to themselves, they would think they were crazy.
Right.
Well, who are you talking to? I was just, or they got caught.
Right.
They got caught.
That's what happens.
Talking to themselves.
I know.
And who are you talking to? Oh, I'm just talking to myself. All right, that says a couple of things. That they're intelligent enough to have a conversation and ask questions, and there's somebody else there, right?
Right.
When you were a baby, there were only two people in the house were you and your mother, okay? But you sensed there was somebody else there. So, when you say, I was talking to myself, are you talking to your higher self? The part of your energy, the part of your soul that was left behind when you came here, because your higher self is part of your spirit tribe, spirit family.
Here's I'm going to answer it. I'm going to make it, because it can get complicated, and you guys don't make it complicated with your reasoning, all right, in this world. It's really simple, and keep it that way. You're talking to your universe, all right? So the universe is like the totality of where we came from and where we go back to when we're done here. And that universe is your higher self, like Ray said. It's an aspect of you that sees everything objectively. It sees what you're doing from clarity, from a clear point of view. Very much like your guides see you, all right? So it's your higher self looking at what you're experiencing from its perspective and sending that perspective to you if you're open to it. You can't be in drama and trauma. You can't be gossiping and coming from a lower vibration. You've got to be coming from an open heart. You've got to be coming from just the higher place within yourself. Somebody who's not in judgment. Think of it that way. If you find yourself in judgment, you're disconnected. It's like pulling the plug out of the wall. You have disconnected yourself from your source connected guides, from your source connected higher self, the one who's objective, who really helps you in this life, from anybody else out there that has your best interest in mind, that looks out for you, that you have a connection to, that you came from, all right? So that's who it is. It's not one or the other. Now there's times when something will happen. Boom, something happens in your life. And specialists will come through. Somebody who's absolutely specialized, perfect to help you in this world get through this. They come through and they're sent in by the guides, by your higher self, okay, to help you get through this one thing. When you're through it, when you're done, they leave. And then these guides come forward, and your higher self and your universe and whoever's there with you all the time, they're there with you to help you understand what's going on in your world and guide you.
Okay, here's a good one. What's the difference between asking and praying? Aren't they both asking? What's the difference in the energy?
Well, it depends on the way that you've been raised and what you've been taught to believe. So some people, they think of asking like praying, all right? So praying is something you've been taught to do from religion, and you've been taught how to do it, all right? You haven't been taught how to ask. when you came in as a little kid, a little baby, you just knew how to ask. You didn't have anyone telling you how to ask. You already knew how to do that. Those were your friends, your invisible friends, or whatever people called it. Okay, they were with you all the time. Your higher self, they were with you. You came equipped with this, like GPS. You came equipped with this. So later on, in order for you to understand it, people called it praying. Well, that's just one. What would you call it? It's like one order, like one way. It's like there's many ways to the mansion, like Edgar Cayce talks about. And there's many ways to the mansion. You can go this. You can do it this way. You can do it that way. You can do it this way over here. But they all lead to the same destination. So whatever you want to call it, praying, asking. Now, hoping is not asking. Okay, hoping it's like looking to get lucky. All right? And when you ask, you're not looking to get lucky. This has nothing to do with luck. This has to do with intentional asking. You're conscious, you're aware of it. You're not just stuck in reasoning. You're open. You're open to grasping what you already knew. A lot of times when you ask, the answer that comes through, you'll go, I knew that. How could I know that? I knew that. Well, that's because they've been sending you the answer for a long time now, but you only now agreed to involve yourself, and in the asking, you aligned with what they've been sending you all along. So that's what's going on.
I think getting back to the fear thing, you said before that you could ask only when the fear was released. That's the only time they can get through to you. All right? So the instinct was to ask. You, for a moment, let go of the fear and you ask.
Because of the hope.
Right.
Right.
You hope somebody was listening.
Well, see, that's what happened. Is the hope. I'm telling you that hoping is not it's not the way you do it. But the fact that I asked, I had the hope, I had the open mind to receive an answer, or I never would have done that in the first place. That's what that's all about.
Well, getting back to the praying thing, do you think people pray out of fear? That they stay in that fear, and that's why they say, well, my prayers haven't been answered in years.
Yeah, that is a good point. Anytime you're asking, or if you want to call it praying, if you're doing it under the guise of fear, if fear is driving the car, okay, and you're just a passenger, maybe you're in the passenger seat or you're in the back seat somewhere, you're not driving the car. You don't have confidence in yourself. You don't believe that you have the power. I knew I did at 20 months old when I met my guides, and I saw what they saw when they looked at me, and I saw the power that they saw and remembered in me, and I remembered in myself the instant it happened telepathically. It was all in an instant. That came from trusting in the fact that being absolutely open and not having fear interrupt it. See, the minute fear gets in, it interrupts everything. It stops everything cold. It's like slamming on the brakes. You are not in control of anything, and you can't be reached. So yeah, the praying part, if they're praying and they're fearful, then it won't work, right? You can't be reached. Their prayers can't be answered when they're asking from fear.
And they usually have an outcome in mind. They're praying for a specific thing.
Right. See, that's what we talked about earlier in the beginning of this video, is when you already have your mindset. What goes wrong when you ask? That's what goes wrong when you ask, is when you have your mind set on an outcome. All right? And so the answer you get, you might even get an answer. You believe you got an answer, but you're only hearing your self-talk. You're not getting an answer. You're in the way of the answer. You're interfering with the answer, just like I talked about in the early part of this video.
Okay, let's say people are, let's put it into the words that everybody can understand. They're praying for a raise. They're praying that they get a raise at their job, okay? Because until they get that raise, can they do this? Instead of asking for guidance, asking their guides, what do I have to do to become the kind of person who deserves a raise?
That would be a better question, Ray.
Right.
That would be a better question. So in the first example Ray used, one is about getting lucky and not really doing anything to participate in it, all right?
Not changing.
Well, you're not participating.
That's right. You're not active in it.
Right. So the second one is where you realize that you're the one here in this life that decided to come here with the support of your guides and your angels and your higher self and the universe and everyone who looks out for you. You know you came here to do it. If they were meant to be here to do this work, they would be here living their own lives. So you came here, you signed up for this, and you decided to roll up your sleeves, come here in this life, and do the work, okay? That's the difference. The difference is the awareness. It's not about just getting lucky or believing that you don't have to do anything.
Right.
What you're doing is you're asking for some help in order to understand so you can be more effective, so you can actually step into it while it's still powerful. When you get that answer, okay, it's got a shelf life, so if you don't act on it while it's still valid, while its shelf life is still valid, then it too will dissipate and be gone. So it's all about that. Also, that'll answer your fear too. If you get an answer, let's say you ask, you write it in your journal, you ask and you write down what the question was. And when you get the answer, you write the answer in your journal like you should. Date it, keep it in chronological order, and you will know how well you're doing with this based on your response to the answer. If you just kind of let it float and let it go, then maybe it was a science project. Maybe you just watched it go and you said, oh, well, as you look down the road, maybe a week or a month or something, and you go, well, boy, it would have been nice if I had acted on that, because look, my life would have been that much better had I taken the action, right? That's when you know where you are. If you're ready, if you're still hoping, if you're still looking to get lucky, all right? Because a lot of people are still doing that. That's what a lot of people are still doing. And that won't work, you guys. That doesn't work. This doesn't work like that. You ask, here's the responsible part. You ask and you set yourself up. What do you hear? You hear people say, watch out what you ask for. Okay? So you ask and you got the answer. All right? You got the answer. A lot of people miss the answer, even though they got it, because they go, oh, well, that was the answer? They don't even realize that was the answer to their question. Maybe they forgot they asked the question. See how unconscious we can be? So you got to write this stuff down so you can track yourself, so you can become more conscious and deliberate in your life. That's what this is all about. This is in the journal, in my journal. I just published this about a month ago. It's my guided journey. It's the companion journal to Guided. This is. And it teaches you how to do this. In the second lesson, it's about asking. And in it, you write down when you first asked. And then later on in this there's pages that you print out and you have them and you put them in your little binder as you continue to develop this and build this out, And it asks you, how did you get this? If you ask something, it asks you why you asked it, how you knew to ask this, and when you get the answer, where you got the answer from, when you got it, how you know it came from your guides. It asks you all those questions.
And how you felt about it.
Yeah, and how you felt about it.
That's a big difference.
That's a huge one, all right? And so this will really help you get through this and connect and make the connection and get on the right track with this. So that
show them what it looks like. Show them what one of those pages looks like where they would write down what they got.
You mean in the asking part, right?
Yeah. Well, asking. Okay. Last week's video,
Well, we don't want to go through that. Okay, so this is the one we're talking about right now, is the part where you ask, right here, ask. And then you work through this little workbook is what it is. So what Ray's talking about, he's talking about this part right here,
Right.
where it's the journal part. Once you're through the page 1 through 18, part 2 of this journey, then you're really ready to start using this and start documenting what you're getting so you don't miss it anymore. I'm telling you, if you guys, this is a free download on my website at lindadeir.com, and it's called My Guided Journey, and it's a free download. And you get this and print it out and start working with this. And every Thursday, Ray and I are going to be here on Facebook Live helping you guys. If you have questions, working through your journal, if you bump into things that have you hung up, you can join us. You can, ask questions, leave comments. You can, and we will get back. We will comment on it. We will help you live. Help you get through it. Whatever your questions are, if you had a dream that you need answers to that line up with this journal, that get you where you're going, your stepping stones to learning how to do this, and make this connection, this golden connection to your guides, your angels, your higher self, those who support you in the universe, so you know that you are never alone and always being guided.
All right, so just a little recap, okay?
Yeah.
It's an instinct to ask for help.
It is.
All right.
We just forgot it.
Right. It's something natural. Once the fear is out of the way, that's when your guides can reach you, right?
Right.
Okay.
Even if it's for an instant. Even if it's for an instant, like it was for me at 20 months old.
Who are you talking to? You're not talking to yourself. You're talking to your higher self and your guides. So all these people who told you when you were smaller that, no, you don't have any imaginary friends, or, a little later on in life said, whoa, you're talking to yourself. That's the first sign of being insane,
Right, I know.
They were just not conscious.
Okay, hold on. That's why you want this. This will keep you from, this will give you the support you need, us here on Thursdays, the combination, to work through this so you become skillful at doing this. I don't walk around talking to myself, but I hear what they're saying. I remember my dreams. Ray remembers his dreams. Mm-hmm. We talk about them every morning. First thing we do is cover our dreams, and that's covered in here too. Very important. And after you get into the role of this and you just start stepping back into reclaiming yourself, the self that came here fully equipped the first day it was here, that baby. Once you start interfacing that world with this world, all of a sudden it's like learning to get your sea legs under you again. It feels a little awkward in the beginning, but before you know it, you're off and running, because it's not new to you. It's something you came in with. You're just remembering it.
And one last thing, there's an important distinction that asking is not begging.
No, it's not. It's not begging. See, isn't that funny? In the early part of the video I said, strangely, you feel like you shouldn't be doing this? Well, it's not, because it almost feels like a foolish thing to do, like Ray said, begging. It's humiliating, okay? But it's not true. That is not what this is. This is sophisticated. This is the ultimate intelligence. This is your intuition. And this is your ultimate connection. This is a game changer, you guys.
And where can they get this again?
They can get this on the website, lindadeir.com. I'll have it up on we'll put it up on the feed.
Put it up on the feed.
Yeah, and you guys will have this. So, and if you have any questions, you need to talk to us. You can leave a comment on the feed. Ray and I keep an eye on it throughout the week. And next week, we're going to be talking about friends. All right, that's the third page. Okay, so we're going to be talking about friends, and who do you think they are? That's right. Those are on the front of my book, Guided. It says, her spirit guide angels were her best friends and life coaches. And that says it all right there.
For those who haven't read Guided, they might be wondering, how did you get this photograph of one of your spirit guides?
Yeah, in 1994, it was Christmas time, and I happened to have a Nikon camera in my hand. I was taking pictures of the Christmas tree, and I turned around, and there it was standing in the room, 7 feet tall, lit up the whole room. There must have been, I don't know, 4 or 5 people in the room. And I took the picture. I had my camera. There I went. As soon as I did, they dissipated. They just dissipated into thin air. And I turned around and I said, "Did you guys see that?" And they said, "See what?" Well, that's been the story of my life. People don't, or they forget it right away what they saw. So I got the film developed. That was film days. And when I got the film back, there it was. And I had a dream a couple of weeks later. And in the dream I was lucid, and when I asked them, "Why did you let me take your photograph this time?" Because I've seen him since I was 20 months old. They said, "You're going to write a book about your relationship with us since you were a little girl, and we appeared so the world could believe." And there you have it. 20 years later, I wrote Guided. I wrote the book, and it's a bestseller.
And it won an award recently.
Yeah. And that's why the guides insisted that I get the journal done and make it available for free as support for the readers of Guided who really get this book. It's got over 1,000 reviews between Audible and Amazon. So that says something for a book that hasn't even been out for 3 years yet. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And a first-time author, So anyway, that's what we have next week. Same place, same time. We look forward to having you back. And please come and join us. And feel free to participate by asking questions and leaving comments in the stream.
See you next week.
See you next week.